So it's your boy Scandoose, the hip hop original, and welcome to episode number 3, season 2 of the Head-to-Head interview series. And I'm joined by an absolute UK hip hop icon to me, anyway. You know, internationally known, you know, a fantastic MC, lyricist, producer. You know, so it's definitely a pleasure to sit down and chop it up with you, man. So let me just formally introduce onto the Head-to-Head series, the one and only King Kashmere. How you doing, brother?
All good, man. That was a pretty illustrious intro, man. Do you know what I'm saying?
We got to talk it up, man. We got to talk it up, bro. When we get into this interview, man, we're going to see why that was such an extensive intro. You know? So yeah, man. Definitely good to see you, bro. So yeah, so the way we kick off these interviews, man, the first question that we always ask is, how did you find your way into hip hop? Where did it begin?
Wow. Okay, so probably I'm trying to think now. So basically, my older brother, who was same dad, different mum. Basically, he was into, you know, he was into the b-boy thing. This was like, we're talking like sort of mid to late 80s sort of thing. And he was already a b-boy and stuff, you know what I mean? So I used to see him. He never really showed me music or anything like that, but you know, he showed me what like breaking was and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, he already sort of turned me onto it, you know, a bit. Actually, he went on to be some like radio personality in Nigeria and that, which is real crazy. But like, yeah, it kind of started off with there. Do you know what I mean? So like I say, he didn't show me any music or anything like that. He kind of showed me the ways of the b-boy. But then like sort of, if you sort of fast forward to about 89, my cousin from Nigeria basically came to live with me and my mum, right? This is when we lived in Northwest London and that. And he came round and I remember when he came to stay with us, he had like these like, you know, black bin bags full of tapes and stuff, right? And I was just like, obviously when he got a job with like the Nigerian embassy. So whenever he was out, I was obviously in the room, like raiding his tape stash, you know what I mean? Yeah. And he had like a whole mixture of stuff in there. So it was like, you know, a mixture of like, you know, some R&B, like a lot of New Jack Swing and some hip hop, right? And the first sort of like tape that sort of caught my eye was De La Soul 3 Feet High and Rising, basically. Do you know what I mean? And from there, let me tell you, from the moment I pressed play on that thing, I was like, what is this? Do you know what I mean? And obviously I'd heard bits of like rap and stuff, you know, just from hearing stuff on the radio. But when I heard that was the first time I thought to myself, you know what? Like, I'm actually interested in how this is done. Like, do you know what I mean? It kind of just intrigued me, all the sounds, everything. I was just like, wow. Because like initially, you know, I wanted to be a DJ. Do you know what I mean? Like I was always more interested in like the actual sound of stuff and just appreciating music. Do you know what I mean? But then obviously, you know, my mom wasn't into the idea of me getting turntables. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think the easiest thing to do from there was to like sort of pick up the rapping. And I didn't do that until I heard Tribe Called Quest's first album, People's Instinctive Travels. When I heard that, that's when, so if you look at it like this, like the De La Soul side got me interested in the actual, how music is put together and just like interested in the sounds of it all. And then like the Tribe Called Quest got me into the actual writing side of it. Do you know what I mean? So, and obviously what I do from there was like, you know, just take, I'd sort of like memorize or write down, you know, Q-Tip's verses and just change wherever he put his name in, I put my name in, do you know what I mean? And it just started from there. And that was about sort of like 89, 90. Okay. And from there it was just a rap, like, you know what I mean? Like, because like prior to that, I actually wanted, because prior to that I was into computers. right? So I like really wanted to sort of get into like making games and stuff, because around that sort of time, like the late 80s sort of thing, there was like in like the UK, there was like a boom in sort of like home computing, and like people wanting to like, you know, because all the companies like Commodore and like Sinclair and all these companies, you know, they were encouraging young people to start coding. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And so much so that in their manuals in the back, they'd have like, you know, they'd have like programs basically that you could code yourself, you know, that you sort of have to like copy it and sort of, so what they'd have is like, they'd have programs for like a clock, you know what I mean? Or, you know, simple stuff to get it working, to sort of like turn you onto it. And that was what I was into for a long time. But then like, obviously when I heard those albums, that was it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So that encouraged you to pick up a pen and start writing. But at what point? And did you have a rap name back then? Like, well, and how did you evolve into the Kashmere name?
Oh damn! Did I have? I mean, you know, I'll start off by saying I've probably had about 1 trillion names. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, because I'm just like, with names, I don't know why. It's just a thing about names where I just can never settle on something. Do you know what I mean? Like, even when I was doing graffiti and stuff, like, you know, I had like various names and stuff. But so I think in the beginning, I was just called Obi. That's my name. My government, you know, my actual name is Obi. You know, I'm Nigerian. But so I used to do that. But what did I have, man? I had all kinds of names, man. Like stuff. I don't even really want to say it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had like, what did I have, man? I had like, yeah, I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not even gonna. yeah. But yeah, it's safe to say that there were some funny names in there. Do you know what I mean? But like the Kashmere thing, you know, that didn't come till like probably like, you know, maybe like late 90s. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'd run through like all kinds of names. I mean, you know, one of the names that I had was like probably like obviously Obi-Wan, because obviously my name is Obi, is the easiest thing. I mean, I'd been called Obi-Wan since I was born. Like the doctor that delivered me, you know, said, you know, oh, well, we got a name for him, and it was like Obi, you know, and it's like, oh, Obi-Wan, like Star Wars. You know, so, you know, I'm not new to those Star Wars jokes, but like basically, yeah, you know, cycled through a whole lot of names. And then, so I think the Iguana Man thing, came before the Kashmere thing, right?
Okay.
And I can tell you how that happened. So like basically, around about the sort of late 90s, I met this whole bunch of like MCs and producers who went under the name, who still go under the name Ill Breed as a collective, right?
Right.
And so just through hanging out with them and just doing songs, like me, Baron Sinback, and this next guy called Mr. Grief, we did a song called Mars Attacks, basically, right? And you know, the idea was, you know, it was some sci-fi stuff, but the idea was to sort of like have a sort of like alias, each of us to have an alias for that one song, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, they all had their names, and for some reason, I can't tell you the exact reason, but for some reason I came with the name Dr. Iguana, right?
Right.
And then so I used it with that, and it kind of stuck, right? And then sort of, and it changed into Iguana Man because I think so probably around about 98, I met Farmer G. Now, bear in mind, I'd already been going to like Mudlums and stuff like that in Camden and all of that, and seeing those guys and just, you know, just idolizing those dudes. But I mean, I don't know if you'd want me to blow this up, but like me and Farms were on this sort of like music technology course in Islington, right? But I didn't know. So like on the first day, I must have walked into the classroom, I guess, and I just looked around as you do, and just looking right back at me was Farmer G from Task Force. I was just like, you know, I had to like double take. Like I was like, what? Do you know what I mean? And then sitting next to him actually was a young Sway de Sappho as well. Actually, you know what I'm saying? And,
so we're basically, we're talking about Season Islington, right?
Was it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know it. Yeah.
I was there myself a couple of years later.
Really, really.
Yeah.
Ah, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. So yeah, I mean that's and then so I met Farms and then like he was just like just mad cool. You know, he was just like, just come by the crib. Do you know what I mean? I met Chess and everything like that, and it just made me feel at home. And that just started off like a you know, a lifelong sort of friendship with those guys. But when I was telling them my name, you know, Farms was like, yo, you know what? That's cool, but you should do it like the reggae artists, man. Do you know what I mean? And have like it be like man at the end of it, you know, like Demolition Man, Ninja Man, do you know what I mean? And all this kind of stuff. So I was listening to him saying it. I was like, you know what? That's actually pretty dope. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean? And then so that's where that came from, the Iguana Man thing. And then, you know, just from me like not settling on a name, I was like, oh man, I need something else. So one day I was just sitting at the crib and I was just looking through the dictionary and I just like looked through and I just, for some reason, Kashmere just popped out. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, and it kind of stuck. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't change it if I wanted to because everyone was like, yo man, you've put out a record with the name Kashmere, you can't change it. So here we are. You know?
Nice. And so how did that evolve into King Kashmere?
So the King Kashmere thing came about because for a couple of reasons, basically. So when I started doing Strange You, I wanted to, you know, it was a conscious decision to sort of do things a bit differently than I was doing before, and sort of like distinguish a difference between what had happened before and what is going on now. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so, you know, and also with the fact that, again, you know, with my sort of indecisiveness with names, I was never really comfortable with the name Kashmere. So, you know, in that sort of vein, I was thinking to myself, how can I make this bearable? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, putting the king in front of it kind of just made it better for me. But also it was also sort of marking a sort of new road that I was going down, because, you know, with the Strange You thing, it wasn't even just like, oh, let me grab Zygo and just do some music. It was really like a thing of like, okay, if I'm gonna, because I had stopped doing around about 2010, around about then, I'd stopped doing music basically.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Was just like, do you know what I mean? And then so
was
you know,
was there a reason for that, or you just was just like,
yeah, I mean, like I just kind of, I mean, you know, like with the UK hip hop scene is like, you know, like ebbs and flows and stuff like that. Sometimes it's popping, sometimes it's just, you know, dead, quote unquote dead. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, obviously people are still doing their thing, but it's not as like popping. Do you know what I mean? And so when I decided to do that, it was round sort of like the sort of wilderness in between patches kind of thing. You know, this is before High Focus and all this kind of stuff. Really, I mean, High Focus was probably just starting, but so, you know, just at that time, I just wasn't really feeling like, you know, it was going anywhere that I wanted to, you know, I wanted it to go. Like, I'm talking about, you know, my career basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a mad time, you know what I mean? And then I remember sort of I was doing shows, and it was me, Crossbone T, shout out Crossbone T, and Jada Cut. Jada Cut was DJing for us, right? And we had this gig at the Roundhouse, you know, the Roundhouse in Camden, obviously.
Yeah.
And then like one of the we was in one of the smaller rooms, right? And I remember doing the show, right? And it was an extremely tough crowd, right? Like, and we had this mad show, like it was all like choreographed, everything, all this crazy stuff going on. And we had like all this merch that was going to sell as well. So we had a section of the show where, you know, was doing this weird sort of advert thing. Listen, it was crazy. We had all this stuff going on, right? Yeah. And then I just remember the crowd just being just real tough, right? And then it just got to the point where I was just on stage and I was just like thinking about other stuff, basically. Do you know what I mean? I was there just while I was rapping, thinking about, yeah, you know, when I get home, I'm going to watch this film and I'm going to eat this. Oh yeah, there's some pineapples in the fridge. I'm going to eat that. Do you know what I mean? And then when I sort of like snapped out of that, I was like, whoa, what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? So after that show, I was like, right, you know what? I think it's time to chill for a while, basically. And then, but it wasn't even like, oh, I give up. Do you know what I mean? It was more like, let me sort of reconnect with why I'm doing this in the first place. Do you know what I mean? So, because one of the things that I wasn't doing when I was making tunes before was I wasn't listening to music. Do you know what I mean? It turns out, you know, it ended up being like, I'm just doing my songs, but I haven't got the mental space to listen to other music, you know what I mean? And that's, to me, is, I feel that's important, you know, as a head. You got to listen to listen to music. So that's what I did. I just basically spent time listening to music, reconnecting with stuff. And, you know, I started to get inspired again. And then that's when the Strange You thing happened, you know what I mean? But I was like, I've got to be better than before. So during that time, I was studying rap as well. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I just made a definite sort of effort to do things better. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. Well, let me backtrack quickly, man. Let me let's get to the let's go back a bit. So you got the first name, right? And obviously you said you were studying alongside Farmer G. He's an artist that you admired, like when you was coming up. Who would you say were like especially in the UK, who would you say were like your early influences in terms of MCs?
Okay, so I'd have to say the earlier influences, I'm trying to remember who the earliest guys that I heard. So the earliest ones would probably be people like Force and KZ, Sons of Noise. Let me think now. Definitely Hijack, do you know what I mean? Because, you know, they just had this whole thing going on, which, you know, it wasn't just a group making music, man. It was like, those guys were on another level, man. Another level. You know, the stage show was ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? So there was those guys. And then, like, if you fast forward a little bit more, I'm thinking, you know, when I first started listening to Lewis Parker, it had to have been around 95, 96 when Mysteries of Life dropped. Do you know what I mean? Because I was like, I was DJ 279 Friday Night Flavors disciple. Do you know what I mean? I could not miss Friday Night Flavors. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone was going out on a Friday night. I was like, I'm good. I'm going to chill and I'm going to like listen to the radio. Like, do you know what I mean? That was my thing. Like, you couldn't mess with me on radio dates, basically. It was like Max Alex and Davey J on Wednesdays. Do you know what I mean? 7 till 10, I think it was. And then like DJ 279 on Friday night from 9 till 12, I think it was. And then from 12 till 3, it was like Westwood or whatever like that. Do you know what I mean? You know, I was just, that was me. Damn, well, I lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
So we were talking about your early influences, man. So you were saying, so we got to Lewis Parker and then
So basically that was it. So like 279 particularly, I remember he was championing Lewis Parker, you know, heavy at that time, you know, mid-90s type of thing. And I remember when I first heard Mysteries of Life from Lewis Parker, I was like literally blown the hell away. I was like, this is crazy. Like, I hadn't really heard anyone from the UK sounding like Black Moon. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was mad. It was mad. But even like a little bit before that, right? I just started thinking just now about people like Mr. 45 when he had like Radford in like 93 and that 93, 94, I think it was. And like, obviously people like Scientists of Sound, you know, people like that. I mean, I always say to people, there's a whole section of UK hip hop, that's like completely forgotten. Do you know what I mean? Like groups like Structurize, you know, people like Big Quam, you know, like all of these people that are just like that were making really good music, but are just, you know, gone. Like, do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it'd be all of those type of guys, basically. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So in terms of your yourself as an MC, man, when did it get to that point where you was like, you know what, actually I can do this at a professional level now. Let me get in the studio. Like, where,
Yeah.
at what point when you was there?
Let me think now. So that would have probably been around, I think around about 96, 97, I started thinking about that, because obviously I was getting more and more into it. I was listening to the radio a lot, and, you know, listening to people like 279 and that, you're obviously exposed to a lot of independent hip hop. Even at that time, you know, it wasn't made a big thing at the time of people doing their own, doing their own records, but it was already happening. Do you know what I mean? But so seeing that, you start thinking, oh damn, what you can press up your own record? This is crazy. You know what I mean? So that started my mind going like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Do you know what I mean? So from there on, it started being more of like, doing the music, getting more into it, but also a mission of like, okay, how can I do this? Do you know what I mean? How can I, how can I get my record going? What can I do? Do you know what I mean? So that sort of led on to, finding out about open mics and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Because, I was going to rap shows from early, and I don't even know how people were letting me in. Do you know what I mean? I was going to like rap concerts at like 13, 14 years old, clearly like 18, you know what I mean? Like policy, you know what I mean? But I guess they just thought, oh, look at this young little dude, like, let him have his experience, you know what I'm saying? So, so I was seeing that, but I wasn't really seeing open mic culture. Do you know what I mean? Because it was just about these concerts, do you know what I'm saying? And then, so when I started getting into it and started thinking about these records and stuff like this, I started finding out about jams and started hitting these open mics. And then, like, as you're doing it, you obviously start talking to people more and stuff like that. And you realize that people are doing it and there's a whole scene and like, so that really got me thinking about it. And then, so fast forward to about maybe maybe about 97, 98, there was this, obviously there was Breaking, so I don't know if you know about Breaking Bread Records, basically. So they had a night in, one of their nights in Stockwell, basically. And it was like, and I used to go there because of that open mic, do you know what I mean? But one cool thing about going there was that I got to meet DJ Tough Cut and the rest of the guys at Breaking Bread, right? And it was really Tough Cut that made it, so much more of a real thing. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously he was putting out records, do you know what I mean? Himself. And he was like, yeah, this is what I do and stuff. And it, really sort of like set me going, do you know what I mean? And then, that's really the birth of it all. And he was the first one to put me on record as well, actually, DJ Tough Cut. So shout out to him. And then, and then from there, it was really just a case of, I remember we was making tunes, me and our crew was making songs and that. But obviously we was like, we was all just young and just doing whatever. And I think it got to a point where I was like, man, I really need to get this moving, right? So I got one of my guys, you know what I mean? Carnage, shout out to Carnage. We basically just went up to Deal Real. So the original Deal Real on Knoll Street. You know what I'm saying? So we went up there and spoke to the guys at the record shop. And our idea was basically to go up there, put up a notice on their wall saying, look, hungry MCs, looking for production. Yo, you know what I mean? Hit us up. Left our mobile number in there and everything. And and like basically, and it was just like Tough Cut. Actually, that's how I met Tough Cut. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about the timeline now. That's how we met Tough Cut, because so we was doing that and we put up the notice and Tough Cut was the person that responded, which was why we ended up going to Breaking Bread. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And then that's how that happened. But then I went back to Deal Real later on just to talk to the guys and just be like, look, man, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to put out music and stuff like this. Is there any advice you can give me and all this? And Pete Real, DJ Pete Bond, basically was like, listen, come back next week and we'll have a chat. So I came back next week. Yeah, I came back the following week. Dude was like, yo, come with me. Took me down into the basement of Deal Real, sat me down, and just basically schooled me on the entire way you put out a record, from, you know, like from making the stuff to where to go to get it pressed, the whole process of it getting pressed. You know, he taught me about, you know, because back then, obviously, physical publications were a thing. So he was like, yo, make sure you get your music to people 2 months in advance so they can do the reviews and all that. Like, he basically schooled me on the entire thing. And then from there, that was it. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, that was it. Like, I was like, okay, I know what to do now. Let's go, basically. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sick, man. Yeah. So tell me about the process into getting into your debut album, man. Because I obviously you put out some singles and an EP before that, but yeah, what? Because obviously the debut album is In the Hour of Chaos, right?
Yeah.
I obviously, while I was doing my research, I didn't realize that came out on Receptor Records as well.
Yeah.
So did they actually sign you to a deal, or did they just distribute the album?
No, so Receptor Records is basically me and my guys, basically.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Right. So you founded the label.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was what we did with the knowledge that I took from DJ Pete Real. Do you know what I mean? When we went to Deal Real Records. So like once we got that information, I took it back home, and we was all like, yeah, let's do this. Like, do you know what I'm saying? But so In the Hour of Chaos, basically, so I don't know, it depends on how you look at it, right? So some people might say my debut thing was the Backhand Slap Talk Technical Illness thing that came out on Low Life Records. Do you know what I mean? Because even though that was
Verb T, right?
That was with Verb T. So obviously me and Verb T, like, we was doing separate EPs, right? But you know, Brain Tax was like, you know, you guys might as well package it together as an album because we could do more with it, basically. But you know, doing it there, you know, because, you know, when we was doing that, it was me and Verbs together. It was actually me, Verbs, and Ghost together, just doing shows and just doing everything together. And then it got to a point where it's like, all right, you know, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, we need to, are we going to continue as a, you know, are we going to do this as a group, or are we going to try and do some solo stuff? And I think our idea was to try and establish some solo stuff and then come back together later on. Do you know what I'm saying? So so the timeline, I guess, goes, I did Raw Styles 1, then I did Raw Styles 2, I think, and then we did the Low Life thing, and then I did In the Hour of Chaos, and then Verbs did Verbs with a Vengeance and stuff like that, right?
Okay.
And this is High Focus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
so Low Life is with Brain Tax, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So how comes your debut didn't come out on Low Life and you put it out yourself?
Well, so basically, I think, so at the time, a couple of things. I think, like, Low Life was kind of winding down. Do you know what I mean? At the time. Do you know what I mean? I think by that time he had enough, basically. Do you know what I mean? But also because we had done the whole thing with Receptor Records already, you know what I mean? It was a thing of like, all right, we've got this label, you know, we're all in it together. Let's just go this way, basically. I mean, we could have, truth be told, like, initially it was going to come out on Low Life. Do you know what I mean? Brain Tax was all in. He was like, the only thing Brain Tax said was just make a couple of things for the radio. Do you know what I mean? Which I just think was crazy because, you know, he was just, you know, have you listened to my music? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But you know, it's cool. I mean, I guess he was just trying to, like, you know, just trying to sell the thing. You know what I mean? But which, you know, and I did go back and make some songs. I don't think they were radio songs, but they were definitely more things that could be I don't know, man. It's possibly,
accessible.
yeah, maybe. But my
Yeah.
type of accessible isn't really accessible when I think about it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But you know, at least I tried. Do you know what I'm saying? But like, so we did that, and then like, but then like, obviously, all my guys were like, do you know what? We should really do it ourselves because we're trying to do this. We're trying to move forward with the label. How about we do it? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Do you know what I mean? So that's why it came out on Receptor. And to be fair, I'm kind of glad it did because we had some, you know, it was great times, you know, doing that and figuring it out and just like trying to do this thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah,
Right.
man. But yeah, I mean, like with the album itself, it was like obviously it was heavily conceptualized and stuff like that. And that comes from, you know, I always say to people, like, I look at music for, you know, for me, it's a form of escapism, basically, you know, in the sense that when I listen to an album, I like to get lost in the album, especially back in the day. I was just like inside the album, basically, like, do you know what I mean? And I'm a big fan of like people like Kool Keith and stuff, whose solo albums were like all conceptualized, you know what I mean? And I love that. You know what I mean? I really was into that. So I was like, if I'm gonna do an album, it has to be something. Do you know what I mean? So and at the time I was really into the John Constantine Hellblazer comics. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So yeah, so that's the reason why, you know, I went down that direction with the whole, you know, the occult stuff, the magic stuff, and all this kind of stuff, because you know, my character in there was basically like a John Constantine type of character. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
And the thing I admire about you at the time as well, man, you didn't seem to follow the direction everyone else was going with UK hip hop at the time. It was just that one style of UK hip hop. You know, and you were just like, you know, this is me, this is what I'm into. And it's interesting because the stuff that you was making has aged really well now, because it's like, this is what everyone's into now. You know, everybody's geeking out, and, you know, it's incredible, man. That's the amazing thing about it. That's why, you know, it might even be time for a little deluxe reissue, repackage, something for the, you know, I'm just throwing it out there, but I'm just saying, you know.
Bro, it's in the works. In the works, man. Yeah, man. Definitely.
But because another artist I noticed you get compared to a lot is obviously MF Doom, Victor Vaughan. You know, was he also an influence of yours at the time, or?
Not really. That's why it always quite surprises me when I hear it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not intentional, but you know, but don't get me wrong. Like Doom became like someone that I, you know, admired, like, because the thing is, right, I listened to KMD back in the day, you know what I'm saying? But when the MF Doom thing happened, I did not clock that it was the same guy. I didn't clock it was Zevlov X at the time. Do you know what I mean? And I was kind of late on the Doom thing. Not late, but like, you know, I didn't hear Operation Doomsday when it first hit the street. Do you know what I mean? I found out about Operation Doomsday on the reissue, which was about like, I don't know, which was like in the 2000s or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, one thing I will say, I admire Doom like massively, but in terms of influence, I don't know if that's a thing, because like my influences, you know, if we want to get direct about my rap influences, my rap influences are like I say, I always say the Holy Trinity for me, which is Kool Keith, Godfather Don, and Sir Menelik, basically. Do you know what I mean? Okay. So and they all fall under the umbrella of ultramagnetic MCs. Do you know what I'm saying? So like basically, you know, that is, you know, if I'm looking at who I'm trying to, you know, who I like look up to in terms of like barring, do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, because there's all types of artists that I'm into, do you know what I mean? But if I'm talking about, you know, the level of barring, it's those three, do you know what I mean?
Right,
for sure.
Right. But would you put even a little bit of Deltron in there, or some of
listen,
Pharrell Munch and Prince Poe's earlier work?
Oh, definitely. I mean, bro, like I definitely grew up listening to Del Do you know what I'm saying? Like especially the album No Need for Alarm, you know what I'm saying, was like, bro, that was just getting like ridiculous, like unhealthily rinsed, man. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then yeah, and oh man, Organized Confusion early work, jeez. And that's, man, that Stress album is like, it's untouchable, man. It's just untouchable. You know what I mean? So yeah, but all of these things combined is like, they definitely, like, even like Leaders of the New School, especially like the second album, Leaders of the New School, which was more like left field a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Still very much hip hop, but like obviously they were definitely experimenting on that album. Do you know what I mean? So like all of those things are definitely things that like just had me, you know, just hyped me, man. It's just, you know, and inspired me massively. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man, that's incredible, man. And one thing I also noticed with a lot of your releases, man, you're one of the very few artists that have like kind of gone through all the main UK hip hop labels at some point as well, man. Like, you know, obviously we got Low Life. I think you had something out on Dented, YNR, True Thoughts, Now High Focus. It's like, obviously your own imprint as well, man, and Boot Records as well. So it's like, I mean, is that an intentional thing, or you just like, you know, go with the flow kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I've always been sort of like label minded. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just the way, I don't know, it's just the way that I looked at things, man. So I think like, because I was thinking along those lines, because I paid attention to that, you know, like what, you know, like album artwork, liner notes, all that kind of stuff. So I was always looking at labels. So in my mind, that was the way you did it. Do you know what I mean? So I guess like initially, I guess I went down the label road because, you know, that's just what I thought it was. And I ended up, you know, seeking out some of these people. But sometimes, man, this stuff just happened like organically. So like, for example, with Breaking Bread, that happened because I was going to their open mics, do you know what I mean? And they sort of like, and I sort of hit it off with them, and it ended up being a thing of, hey, would you like to do some music on the label? So I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. So, you know, we do that. The Low Life thing happened because like we already had Receptor, right? And then, but when we came to us pressing our vinyl, we went to Low Life, because Low Life had the independent pressing, you know, the company called Independent Pressing, basically, who used to like press like loads of people's stuff back then. And so when I went to them, so Independent Pressing was their own company, but like Brain Tax was like a middleman type of guy. Do you know what I mean? Like third party type of guy. And so when I brought my music to him, I think it was like Raw Styles 1 or something like that. Like he was kind of impressed with the fact that, you know, I just, you know, was pressing up a record, because I think like people used to respect that like a lot back in the day. Like if someone's actually, you know, serious enough to press a record, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and he listened to the music and he was like, yeah, you know, I like the fact that it doesn't sound like anything else. Would you like to do a release on my label? So that's how that happened. Do you know what I mean? And then like with Dented, like I remember I met Pavan, Orifice Volcatron, like at some show in like Harrow or something, man. Do you know what I mean? Like some Trinity Bar thing. Like I think Genesis Elijah was even there, and there's like all these kind of people was there. Terra Slim, all these people were there. And like but he was performing with Dark Circle, and this is when Foreign Beggars had just started. Like we're talking like the first single, like, you know what I mean? Like we kind of started around about the same time, do you know what I mean? But he had already heard of me, and I saw the performance. I thought, yeah, this is dope. And then we just started chatting, do you know what I mean? And then so through that conversation, I ended up being on Foreign Beggars' first album, the Asylum Speakers thing.
Yeah.
And then from there, just cool with them, do you know what I mean? And then so we ended up doing stuff with them, you know, basically. So it's all through organic stuff, man. Do you know what I mean? Like friendships and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So but yeah, I mean, you know, I always at the same time thought, yeah, label stuff is how, you know, is how to do it. You know what I mean? Basically.
Yeah. And how's life on High Focus for you, man? They looking after you or?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'll say this, yeah. I'll say this, like I've worked with a lot of great people, do you know what I mean? But like High Focus is like, man, like you say, are they taking care of me? It's like, hell yeah, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, not only do they, you know, put a lot of effort and thought into everything that, you know, that we do with them, but they, you know, they also put their money where their mouth is as well. Like, that's how much they believe in. Like, if they sign something, you know, it's because they believe in it all the way. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, they literally, like, you know, break their backs to support the artists. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's been really good, man. It's been really, really good. I'm not even gonna lie, you know, it's been like probably the best situation that I've been in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And to me, it seems like they give you full creative control over your vision and your visuals as well, man.
Absolutely. I mean, because I think with them, all the requirement is from them is for it to be, you know, a true thing, you know, a true piece of art, and for it to be good. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, so that's their only concern, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, so that's why I guess they give the creative control. You know, they're not really like standing over you trying to be like, oh, you need a song like this and you need a song like that. You know, it's really like more about, you know, what's the art that you've brought to the table? Do you know what I mean? And they're so clued up as well, bro. Like, let me tell you, it's like, I don't know. It's like some people like that I speak to, you know, don't understand how clued up they are. Do you know what I mean? Because they might, you know, because they come across as, you know, just artists, and that's what they are. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes some people might even look on some of them as like hippies, even, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like they're so switched, like all of it, like the outward image of all of them. You know, there's many sides to these guys. Like, for example, Dirty Dyke, yeah? Like, a lot of people would be like, oh, like, Dyke, he's just, like, trying to rap for shock value and, you know, what's he doing? He's just getting wasted. Like, listen, when you talk to that dude, that guy knows his shit. Do you know what I'm saying? He knows his shit for real.
Yeah.
And, like, extremely talented dude. And, like that guy, like, he's so many sides, you know, his production, you know, the rap, like the art, like, you know, his graffiti art, etc. And like, but with the rap thing, like the way he comes off the dome, like, bro, he's spitting multis like off the top of the dome. Like, I'm like, are you human, bro? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so he's really on it. And then like you look at like Flip Tricks. Like, you know, he's always talking about spiritual stuff and this and that. So some people might think, oh, he's just up in the clouds somewhere. But like when you talk to him, like he knows every aspect of the business. Do you know what I mean? And like he's so clued up. Like, he's taught me like a whole bunch of things, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, crazy. It's crazy. And like, yeah. So, you know, there's a lot to learn from all of those. It's a great experience just hanging with them and just working with them and being on the same label. You know, it's good, man. I can't.
Man. And what is it like touring with them as well? Like, because you've done some European dates with them as well, right?
Yeah. I've done actually, no, we have done European. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. And it's always good, man. It's always like mad fun, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're some of the best people to be on the road with, to be honest with you, man. Because it's just so enjoyable, man. Do you know what I mean? And the thing about High Focus as well, that's good, is the sort of, you know, the overt sort of camaraderie, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're not just there on your own, like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone is cool, like, do you know what I mean? And everyone's very supportive, you know? And it's always it's a beautiful thing, man. I can't talk them up enough, to be honest with you, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope, man. That's dope, man.
Yeah.
So in terms of last year, man, how did the pandemic affect you? Like, did it hit you like creatively, or how was that experience for you, man?
Man, like, initially, like, I don't know, I couldn't. I tell you what, yeah, the first lockdown, I didn't do a damn thing, basically. Do you know what I mean? Because something just zapped even the will to want to do it. Do you know what I mean? But the thing was, excuse me, I already had, so at the top of the pandemic, right? I already had a couple of new sort of Strange You bits that we were messing with. Because obviously we released the album in like 2017 or whenever it was. Yeah. So we hadn't like followed up since then. Do you know what I mean? Because we was just doing other stuff. But we had, you know, a couple of bits in the holster. Do you know what I mean? So it came up to the top of lockdown, and you know, I was actually working at a place in King's Cross, and pandemic hit, and they were just like, yeah, we're closing. You know what I'm saying? So so it was at home, yeah. So I was at home, and you know, I was just like, I can't do nothing. I wasn't even making beats or anything. Do you know what I mean? And then sort of as the time went on, I started thinking about the songs that we had more. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then sort of like towards the end of the year, I was like to Zygo, I was like, you know what? Let's just put something out, man. Do you know what I mean? So I already had the song Arm Leg. And then but the single was supposed to have been Arm Leg and something else that hasn't come out. And then I ended up doing Maybe. Do you know what I mean? Because when I started thinking about putting it out and sort of getting a bug back, I was like, yeah, you know what? Actually, let me just dust off the pen. And then like Zygote was just coming with new beats. So I was like, so we just, you know, so like Maybe just kind of just writ itself. I never really had no plan for it. You know what I'm saying? It just sort of happened. You know what it's like. You know when it happens like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So exactly. So yeah. So to answer your question, like the lion's share of the first pandemic, like the first lockdown, basically just killed me dead. Basically, do you know what I'm saying? But then sort of like towards the end of that year, all picked back up again. Do you know what I mean? And that was good, man. Because I think also as well, like what was cool about doing that record was that, you know, everyone had gone through this lockdown phase. And I think people were looking for something new or something that they weren't hearing. And I think that's a perfect opportunity for a group like Strange You to come in and drop a record. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Because we're just inherently just different, not because we're going out of our way to be, but it's just like we're just gravitating towards certain sounds that might not be usual. Do you know what I'm saying? But so yeah, man. I'm glad to have come out of that, to be honest with you, man.
Yeah, man. It hit a lot of people hard, man. Changed a lot of people's perspectives on life as well, man. So are we following up the new Strange You releases with a tour in the new year, or what's the status of that at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, so what we're doing, we're gonna do another 7-inch record first, which is sort of like I'm sort of working on in and amongst other things, because I'm doing an album with Alex DeLarge as well, because obviously we just dropped the Soul Calibur and the North Star and even more recently the Soul Calibur remix, and we're gonna drop
95, wasn't it? Yeah,
the 95 mix. And then we're gonna drop a remix for North Star as well soon, maybe in the next couple of weeks as well. So and there'll be a video for that
with the same singer on it, right? Or
she's not going to be on the remix, because the remix is like so like we had the North Star, which was kind of like the daytime sort of vibe, and then like this remix is firmly nighttime. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like rugged, like hip hop shit. Do you know what I mean? So she's not on it, but she's cool with it. You know what I mean? I gave her you know, permission to put me in a headlock later on. But we're working on like more music anyway, so it's cool. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, definitely. I mean, shout out to Maddie. She's incredible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, her voice is wicked, man.
Oh man, she's a natural, man. She's a natural, and she actually freestyles. Yeah, she like uses sort of like same technique that Erykah Badu does. You know, like she'll just be in the studio, has the mic, and just vibe it out until she's got a song, basically. And she's incredible like that. So So yeah, so I'm working on an album with Alex DeLarge. You know, I don't think me and Alex, we didn't necessarily intend on working on an album now, but because those singles did so well, it was like, okay, let's just, you know, like High Focus are like, look, you guys should do an album. Do you know what I mean? So that's what we're gonna do. But in and amongst that, I'm gonna be working on the next Strange You record, and then in sort of like in the new year, we're gonna start a Strange You album. Do you know what I mean? So it's gonna be the follow up to 4080. Do you know what I'm saying? For sure.
Nice. So just to backtrack quickly, how did the relationship with Alex first come together, man? How did that start?
It was an Instagram thing, man. Do you know what I mean? I always try and remember whether he followed me first or I followed him first, because I'm always looking at, like, when I'm on Instagram, the main thing I do on Instagram, right, is like look at comic book related pages and equipment related pages. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm just a fiend for equipment. I just love looking up equipment and stuff. And then like,
are we talking like vintage equipment or new gadgets?
Yeah, absolutely vintage equipment. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
But I'm into, you know, I dig new stuff too, but like, yeah, like vintage equipment just intrigues me the most. Do you know what I mean? Because you know, it's a lot more. You know, there's a lot more to consider with vintage gear. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's the limitations, but there's also like certain things that we could do very easily now, you know, was a bit more of a process back then. And I'm very interested in that process. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'll be looking up stuff like that. And that's my main thing. And also I'm quite into the lo-fi genre as well. So like, you know, looking up those kind of producers and stuff like that. Because I'm quite into like stuff made on like the Roland SP series as well, whether it be 202, 303, 404, whatever it is, you know what I mean? And I think through that is how I stumbled across Alex DeLarge. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And and I followed him, and like, and I think like just after a while of listening to his stuff, I was like, me and Verb T were talking about doing some music, right? And I was like, you know what? Let me hit up this guy because this guy's dope. Do you know what I mean? So I hit him up and we got some beats. That didn't happen at the time. It's going to happen, but it didn't happen at the time. And then but I just kept in contact with the dude. Do you know what I'm saying? And then eventually it was like, yeah, let's just do something, man. Do you know what I mean? Because he just sent me like a folder of like 1 trillion beats. So I was like, yeah, man, let's just do this. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
So did he know who you were, or did he when you contacted him, or?
Which I was surprised by. Yeah. I was very surprised by that actually, because like, you know, a lot of the dudes in the sort of like beat sort of culture, like you know, that lo-fi thing, you know, a lot of them are not that into MCs. Do you know what I'm saying? So I was like thinking, you know, this guy ain't heard of me. Let me just try and see if I can work with him. But no, he'd already heard of my shit. So I was like, oh, that's cool. That's, you know, that makes things a lot easier. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, but yeah, no, like, you know, and you know, we just hit it off straight away, man, because the guy is not only is he talented as hell, but he's such a blessed guy, which is one of the main criteria for me, you know, working with someone, is that they've got to be cool, man. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And the thing is as well that intrigued me as well about him is that dude is like 23 years old, right? Whoa. And he's making stuff on like, I mean, I could have got his age wrong. He's not older than 25, basically. Okay. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, he basically knows about all the stuff that I grew up listening to, you know what I mean? Like very well, not just on oh yeah, I know about that, I've heard of that. Like, no, he knows it very well. And on top of that, you know, you look at his setup, like he's got like an S9, he's rocking the S950, you know, the EPS16, you know, all the like EPS16, which is what, you know, a lot of the Wu-Tang stuff was made on, you know, S950, obviously classic sampler and all this stuff. I'm like, this guy is just, what's going on here, man? Do you know what I'm saying? So like, I was like, I've got to work with this guy. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And is he also based in London, or is it a long distance relationship?
Nah, it's a long distance thing, man. I think he's, man, I could be getting this wrong. I think he's from Sheffield, but he's based in Bristol. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And, yeah, I mean, and man, so much cool shit out of Bristol. Do you know what I mean? So it's a good place to be a musician, man. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
But you know what though? That's actually quite a jewel for like any producers that are listening to this right now, man. You know, be ready. Because you might just get a DM from King Kashmere, bro. Man.
Yeah, you know,
make sure you can wheel
for
off
real.
those beats, bro.
Yeah, for real.
You know?
I mean, before the Instagram thing, I was all over flipping SoundCloud because that was the place where I was finding people. You know what I mean? Like that's how. So I did an album with this Belgian sort of production duo called Hermot Lobby, right?
Okay.
And like we did a whole album, but I found them on SoundCloud. So basically, went on SoundCloud looking for people with like my SoundCloud was a Strange You thing, which I don't think I have. Do I have that anymore? Yeah, I think I still do. Yeah, Strange Universe. But basically, and I contacted them, and somehow they'd already heard of my stuff, which I was like, what? It's weird because I don't expect this type of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Especially being like, you know, UK hip hop and stuff, like you know, it's hard to know who's listening. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like now it's obviously you know, like, you know, it's a lot more ways of finding out. But you know, back then, you know, I just didn't know. Do you know what I mean? But like, yeah, found a lot of cool people on SoundCloud, and yeah, did end up doing an album with those dudes. And I'm still talking to them to this day. You know what I mean? So
that's dope, man. That's dope. So whenever you need to tour Belgium, you got to connect right there.
Oh, hell yeah. So let me tell you about Hermot Lobby, yeah? These guys, yeah, are like, so they're musicians, they're turntablists, they're software, and they're also software and hardware engineers. Do you know what I'm saying? And like they've like done this, they created this app called Playground, right? And it's just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like an app, right? And it's got all these, like, if you can imagine it on your phone, it's got all these like little graphics and stuff like this, right? And like each graphic controls a sound. Do you know what I mean? And like, so basically they're able to do like live beats by manipulating these graphics that are on the screen. It just mind boggles, man. Like when I first hooked up with them, they were like, yo, check out this video of us playing live, right? And this is before they'd set it up, right? And like, you know, they had all these controllers. And like one of their controllers was the flipping joystick, bro. Like a joystick. You know what I mean? The dude was like, you know, turning the joystick left and it was hitting a snare. And then like you press the button and it'll be like a hi-hat or something, and it hit it that way and it'd be a kick. And I was like, these guys are just like, what? I'm saying, I have to work with people like this. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's sick. That's sick.
Yeah,
that's sick, man.
Yeah,
that's dope, man.
That album's, by the way, that album's getting re-released on High Focus as well. So soon come. Yeah.
That's dope. So you got that album coming. So you got another Strange You coming. Got the album with Alex coming, and then you said you might be working on something with Verb T as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're working on that right now. I mean, there's a few things that me and Verbs are working on together right now. Because the thing is, obviously, you know, me and Verbs have stayed cool and we're working with each other for all these years. But we was like, man, we need to like actually lock in and, you know, do some projects. Like, you know what I mean? So we've got one that's like, it's like, what is it, like 2 songs, like things we're going to do a 7-inch that's like all produced by Michael Parkinson, you know what I mean? So that's one. And then there's another one that I'm producing that we're going to do, which is going to be longer. It's more of an EP sort of thing, like maybe like six joints, something like that. And then we're just going to keep working with each other, man. Do you know what I mean?
That's dope, man.
Yeah. And we got like, sorry, go on.
I don't know. I was just going to say something on the on your production, man. How would you say your production's evolved over the years, man?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, man, because when I first started making beats was probably around 97, right? And so what it was like I was staying by Graham Park Estate. It's kind of a mad one to explain, because obviously there's Graham Park Estate, and where I lived was like literally like a road across, like literally like, you know what I mean? So it was basically Graham Park, like, do you know what I mean? But my school that I went to was on Graham Park Estate as well. Do you know what I mean? So basically I say all that to say that I was in Graham Park like all the time. Do you know what I mean? And we figured out I used to go to the Graham Park youth club quite a lot, right? And then my guys, Marky, who's Ill Eternal Beats, check him out. And my old DJ Crooked Fingers. Basically, we found this guy, and Anthony Castle, who was running this sort of like workshop from the youth club, right? And what he was doing, he was basically teaching, you know, the youths from around the way how to make beats. Do you know what I mean? So he had this situation where it was like he had this room and he had an S950 in there, an Atari ST with Cubase, basically, and he had another drum machine. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know, he had all these worksheets and he was just basically teaching us how to do it. Do you know what I mean? So from there is when I got the bug to do the beats, right? But it was very on and off, you know, over the years. So I hadn't really had the chance to develop a style because I was kind of like focusing on writing. And then, but then, so remember when I said to you that I stopped doing, you know, I stopped like trying to put out music and all that. So part of my reconnection with it was, I was like, okay, I'm not going to rap. I'm going to listen to music. And you know what? I might actually mess around with some beats. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Get back to it, basically. So at the time, Farmer G was selling one of his laptops. Do you know what I mean? Right. And he was like, yo, I was just talking to him. I don't even know how we was talking about it, but like I was talking to him and he's like, yeah, you know, I'm selling this. And actually it's got Cubase, it's got Logic, it's got Reason on there, you know, for you. You know what I'm saying? So I bought that off him and I just reconnected with the whole beat making thing. And like, kind of like set me on a journey for like, you know, a whole bunch of years, probably about a 10-year span, do you know what I mean, of just making stuff, not really telling anyone anything. And actually the earlier ideas for Strange Universe at the time, you know, was just me messing around with beats. And I was, one of my good friends, Sophie, she was, you know, this person that I know was basically, it was actually me and her that was Strange Universe at first, but then she moved to Australia. Do you know what I mean? Okay. And then I ended up just, you know, working with Zygote. Do you know what I mean? Actually, like Strange Universe was supposed to have been like more of like a collective thing. Do you know what I mean? But it just ended up being more sensible to grab Zygote and be like, let's make it more of a focused thing. But yeah, so I was doing all the beats, and then like I think like when it came to maybe around about, I want to say maybe about 2000 and maybe like 18, 19, I started really locking in a lot more with the beats. Do you know what I mean? And then that's when the sort of Gawd Status thing happened. Do you know what I mean? With Joker Star. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, and I'd have been showing Joker Star beats over the time, but like my style just wasn't there yet. Do you know what I mean? I was just building. And then like it just got to a point where it's like, okay, I've got to a certain point where it's like, yeah, we can do this now. Like I was basically satisfied internally. Not satisfied, but I was like, okay, yeah, got something here, we can do this. Do you know what I mean? And then so we started. And actually doing that first Firmamentum project with Joker basically is what developed my style, because you know, at the time, like Dr. Zygote was getting rid of like a whole bunch of records from his you know, collection, because it was just, you know, getting crazy. So you know, I was just like, hey man, I'll take them. Do you know what I mean? And he came round and just like dropped off like stacks of records, man. It was mad. So I went on this mission to start just hooking them all up. Do you know what I mean? So I was doing all that, and then I was showing Joker these, and he was like, yeah, do you know what I mean? Let's do it. So he ended up recording. So we went up to, when he'd finished writing, we went up to sort of like Guildford area to meet up with Jazz T and DJ Miracle. Yeah, and DJ Miracle as well. And DJ Miracle was kind enough to let us record the whole thing in his crib, right? So we did that, and I took it back. And that's when the development process happened, because I was listening to it. And I'm a guy that likes to develop songs. Like, I don't just like get the beat and record and goodbye. I like to develop the shit. So, you know, I was listening to it, and I was like, man, do you know what? Let me change this one beat from this one here, right? So I'll go back and remake another beat, put it in there. And then it ended up being, you know, becoming an obsession. So I ended up changing the next one and the next one and the next one. And then I'll be like, okay, look at what I had, right? And be like, okay, this is cool, but I can do better. Went back and remixed the whole thing again. Do you know what I mean? Be like, oh yeah, that's better, but I can do better. Remix the whole thing again. So each time I was getting better at it. Do you know what I mean? At doing the beats, until we finally had what we had with Firm Momentum. You know what I mean? And like, I literally got to a point just from doing all that work, you know, and just basically developed it, man. You know what I mean? And yeah, it was a good time, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a dope project, man. I remember I was speaking to Joker Star about it as well in a previous interview, man. So will we get a sequel to that project?
So that's in the holster right now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's recorded already.
Yeah. It's just really a case of the mixing process, man. But it's all there basically. So soon come, man. Definitely, man.
So after all these years of doing projects, man, is your focus more on how your projects sound in terms of mixing and mastering now, or do you have a particular way of doing things?
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, it really depends on what's in front of me at the time, basically. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what, you know, it's a case of, you know, what do these songs need? Do you know what I mean? Like, no batch of beats or anything that I do sounds the same to the other one. Do you know what I mean? So each time it's almost like its own chamber. Do you know what I mean? So each one is like, okay, what does this need, and what does this do? You know what I mean? So, you know, that's the direction we're going in here. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like what I am like with writing, because I never go into a song with a definitive concept. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll just start writing, and then, like, you know, it gets to a certain point where it's like, okay, I'm writing about this. Let's go. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's the same thing with production. You know, I guess, like, a lot of guys, you know, they know exactly what they're looking for in a record that they sample or whatever. But for me, I'm you know, my mind is open. You know what I mean? So, you know, like, what I'm using will definitely dictate, you know, what's happening, basically. Do you know what I'm saying? It could even be the equipment I'm using, because I have a few bits, you know what I mean? And each thing is different, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm making a beat on Ableton, you know what I mean? You know, I'll do it a certain way just from the process of how you do that. Or if I'm making something on an SP404, that's its whole thing there as well. And, you know, it's all, you know, there's no particular thing, man. But I think one thing I will say is, like, right now, I'm on the vibe of, like, I just want to make some rugged shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm not really trying to make anything, like, nice. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, even this thing that I was talking about, I'm looking to produce with Maddie. You know, it's definitely going to be on some, like, rugged type of beats, because I feel like that would be a cool thing to do, like, you know, like a singer on some like raw beats, like, do you know what I mean? Like, not even added keys to make it sound nicer, just like the shit that we'd rap on, like, do you know what I mean? So that's really what I'm on. I'm on some, like, you know, actually, let me expound on that. Like, the thing that I buzz off the most, right, is like bedroom style production. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love the sound of stuff that was made that sounds like it was made in a basement or someone's bedroom. You know what I mean? I love that. Like, you know, like, I've always been into, like, more like raw sounding stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? And
Right.
yeah, that's really what I'm into. But that's not a specific requirement. Do you know what I mean? Because like I've done other stuff that's been 100% clean, like as well. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, man.
Yeah, man. But in terms of like going forward, man, because to me personally, you still sound like as hungry and in some ways even improving as a
Yeah.
lyricist as you're going forward, man.
No,
So
thanks.
are there any particular like targets you have or particular collaborations that you'd want to accomplish in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, let me think. Well, speaking on what you're saying about getting better, first of all, thank you. You know what I'm saying? And also, yeah, I mean, I think that's like a kind of like an important thing for me because I'm always like trying to see how I can do better than the last time. Do you know what I mean? It's not even an ego thing. It's just really like just striving. You know, I always say to people, man, like, you know, just keep reaching for the stars, and one day you'll look around and realize you're actually in space. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, you know, it's just really just trying to be better than the last time. And anyone that knows me knows I'm my own worst critic as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's really a case of, right, okay, that shit, okay, I've got to do better than that. Do you know what I'm saying? Which obviously, you know, can only work in anyone's favor because you're trying to strive for something better. Do you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that, man. And then but like, yeah, in terms of collabs, man, I mean, there's lots of people, but in terms of like US cats, for example, I'd love to like work with like Godfather Don. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that would be amazing. You know what I mean? And like people like Sir Menelik. I'd love to work with Big Just from Company Flow one day. You know what I'm saying? But UK guys, man, how long have you got, man? Jesus. You know what I'm saying? There's like lots of people, man. If I could work with everyone, I would, basically, you know what I mean? Because like I feel like everyone's got their, you know, like, you know, there's lots of people that have their own like unique thing that they do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also just really cool people and really good at what they do. Do you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I mean, I'm trying to think who I haven't worked with yet. I haven't worked with that kid yet. I'd like to work with him. Do you know what I mean? Because I think he's pretty sick. Who else haven't I worked with, man? Some of the Split Profits guys I'd love to work with. Who else? I think Lord Apex is pretty flipping dope.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Who else? There's another cat called Mo Sick Rhymes. You know about that dude? He's sick. Oh man, check him out, man. He's really dope, man. Do you know what? My laptop is on like 1%, man.
Yeah.
1 second, yeah. Shall I call you back or something?
Yeah, okay. Let me pause the interview here and then what, give you how long? About a couple minutes?
Just like a couple of minutes. I'll just grab the charger.
All right, cool.
Yeah, back up in this, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, so so what was I saying? So so Mo Sick Rhymes, this dude is sick, man. Check him out. I'd love to collab with that dude. Like you know, he's just really impressive, man. You know what? Like I've worked with Sonny Jim, right? But I'd like to work with him again. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like he's really good. I mean, you know, like there's like Leaf Dog, you know, me and him are talking about doing stuff, you know. But you know, but that's the thing though as well. It's like there's so many people that are so dope and like be cool to work with, but you know, it's like how'd you get to it all? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of people, man. It's a lot of people. What about you, man? Are you still on the bars?
Yeah, of course, man. We're still writing, we're still recording. My solo stuff, fresher stuff is still popping, man. But a name actually that came to mind actually is, because you mentioned him earlier, Orifice Vogeltron. I thought you guys may have done a full length at some point. And I know High Focus, obviously they got the budget, they're making it happen. So I mean, it's more likely that this Cool Keith collab could be a possibility, right?
Yeah, that's not impossible. You know what I mean? I actually met Cool Keith like some years ago, actually, which was highly surreal. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I actually supported him at one show, basically under the, you know, that venue under the bridge. You know?
Yeah, I was there. I was at the gig.
Oh, you there?
Yeah. We interviewed him after the show, which was massive for us because Cool Keith's known for not doing interviews. So him and Cutmaster Kurt. Who always wears a mask.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I met Cool Keith, and the mad thing about it is that he literally like came up to me, like, you know what I mean? I was getting ready to go up to him. Like, he didn't know who I was or anything like that, but he was just like mad cool. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, this is very this is interesting right here. So yeah, Cool Keith, definitely someone. Definitely like Del from Hyro. You know, anyone from Hyro, man. You know, I was actually contemplating hitting up Casual from Hyro actually to do some stuff because he does collabs and stuff like that. So yeah, man, it's just like it's a long list, man. It's a long list. But like production wise, you know, listen, man, I'd love to work with Madlib. Like that's a lifelong dream to work with someone like Madlib, like 100%. That's the biggest one for me, man. Like if I could pull that out, that would be the one. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, with this Instagram thing, man, a lot of collaborations and a lot of these people are a lot easier to access than you'd think. So you know, that's definitely in the realms of possibility, man, for real.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? You know?
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
so I just want to speak to you about this logo that I'm seeing that you've designed. Yeah, but what is the origin of that, man? But can you break that down to me? It's quite mystical. Yeah, we've got this one. Yeah, and then there's the one that comes up at the end of the videos as well. That's like kind of like next type of symbol.
So okay, so what it is that what that is so you see the 8 arrows coming out from there. It's sort of referencing my Chaos medallion. Do you know what I'm saying? Which sort of represents the sort of the 8 directions of chaos, basically coming from the source. Which which basically, in a nutshell, means represents creation. Do you know what I'm saying? And then you see there's like you see this sort of inner circle, and then on the other one is like an outer circle. The writing in here is actually in Kryptonian. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, right.
It's like a huge on Kryptonian lore. Like basically, like I'm the ultra Superman fan, basically, and like that's just my thing. Do you know what I mean? And the inner circle means we are all one under the sun, right? Okay. And the outer circle means is in Kryptonian means it means self-belief is the key to heaven's gate. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And and the eye in the middle sort of represents sort of consciousness. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And then you see 2 lines here represent Aquarius, which is my star sign. So it's quite like just like a personal touch that I wanted to do, because I didn't want to just be like, oh, let me just do a piece of merch. That's cool and everything like that. But I think that because it's been a while since I've done any sort of like cashmere material, it's always been Strange You or this or that. And like this is like the first like cashmere thing I've done in like 10 years, you know what I'm saying? So wow. I wanted it to be something special, you know what I mean? That related to me and the things I was into, you know what I mean?
And you designed that yourself?
Yeah, so I designed it, sort of came with the idea, but Will from High Focus, basically, he gave the actual thing life. He actually put it together. Do you know what I mean? Nicely. Because initially in the middle we was gonna have the Strange You logo. The pyramid, the eye. Do you know what I'm saying? Just to represent my group basically. But then I thought let me make it even more personal. Do you know what I mean? So we kind of back and forth on a few ideas. So yeah, ultimately. I designed it, but Will is the one that actually physically put it together. Do you know what I'm saying? And he had some input as well. So shout out to him, man. Do you know what I mean? And that's another beautiful thing about the guys at High Focus as well. You know, they're not trying to be like, oh no, I'm going to change it to the thing. It was like, you know, what's your idea? Okay, let's realize that idea. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was good, man.
That's sick, man. I remember when we had you and Zygo on the radio show, and back then I was like, yeah, the merch you lot are doing are amazing, but I think this just sounds next level now.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about what the next Strange You bit is going to be, man. You know what I mean? It has to be something interesting, man. You know what I mean? I think we've started a thing where we're working with like artists to do versions of the thing. So like we had so obviously we had the OG one, which is that one, but then like we had a remix one that Kid Aptly did, right? And then we also had another version that Gangsta Doodles did. I don't know if you know about Gangsta Doodles, yeah, but he's basically an artist from LA, right? Who does like, he initially was doing art with like sort of like felt tip pens, you know. I mean, he's just doing these like illustrations and like he's doing artwork. He did like art, you know. He worked with Stone's Throw basically and was doing like art for like Freddie Gibbs and all these people, Madlib and all these people, Quasimodo, and like basically like he did one. And actually that relationship with Gangsta Doodles, I didn't know this, and I might have this wrong, but I think Strange You, because we got him to do one of our EPs, one of our lesser known EPs, which was Aliens in Suits EP. And he did like the artwork for that. And turns out, and like I say, I could be wrong, but it turns out that we was like one of his first paid, if not his first paid commission. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
So he was like, yo, you know what I mean? So we was like cool with him since then because of that. And then like, which led to me being on his compilation album that came out on Rap Cats, the label that Madlib and Egon run. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So yeah, so like I've got a tune on there called Crown of the Serpent. And like, you know, he basically came to us and was like, hey man, like, you know, love you to be on the thing. And I was like, who, me? Shit. You know what I'm saying? And like when you look on it, like it's got people like flipping it's got people like Gas Lamp Killer, like it's got all of these people on there, like, do you know what I mean? All these serious dudes. So now I'm grateful to him, man. You know, he didn't have to do that, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. So yeah, I say that to say, you know, wondering what the next move is going to be, basically with the logo. You know, I mean, it's got to be something interesting, man. You know what I'm
saying? Yeah, man. I can definitely hear that Madlib collaboration is starting to come closer together, especially with collaborations like that.
Yeah, you know, it is getting dangerously close. I'm not even going to lie. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, fingers crossed, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's amazing, man. So even at this stage of your career, man, you don't even sound like you're anywhere near slowing down, you know? And but even at this point, what would you say is the King Kashmere like legacy or like your impact on the UK scene, according to you? What would you say?
That's hard to say, man. I think I think like possibly maybe showing people that you know that there are different paths, you know, to doing this music thing. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily. I mean, because and I say that because, you know, for some people coming up, you know, it might be quite you know, it might be quite the thing. It might be quite overwhelming seeing lots of people doing certain things. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, but then they might have a different thing in their spirit that they want to do, but they might think, oh, I might not get accepted doing my thing. Maybe I need to go more along the lines of what everyone else is doing. Hopefully, seeing what I do shows them that you can do what you can be you. Do you know what I'm saying? There's lots of people that do their own thing, but you know, if anyone was watching me, I'd hope that they would get inspired to do their own thing as well. Do you know what I'm saying? But and also as well, maybe I don't know, man. I guess like maybe showing, like maybe bringing a certain type of underground styles to the table in a way that is recognizable as maybe, yeah, okay, yeah, you can see that it's influenced by the American stuff, but actually he's done it in a very British way as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So maybe, hopefully, I say all that to say, hopefully the legacy that I leave behind is to maybe open minds. Do you know what I'm saying? Like open minds to like different ways of doing stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? And hopefully, people might see the way that I interact with people, and, treating people well. And maybe that might rub off on people, and people know that, it's a good thing to, treat people well and be cool with people, man, as well. The good energy is important, man. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But other than that, I'm not quite sure. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm still trying to figure that out myself, to be honest with you, man. Do you know what I mean? Like I guess I'm so focused on doing the thing that it's hard to look at it from that perspective. But I just hope that whatever the legacy that I leave behind, I just hope that it's a positive one, man. Do you know what I'm saying?
That sounds dope, bro. That sounds dope, man.
Right.
See, and with that, bro, I'd like to officially thank you for taking time out to kick it with the connoisseurs on this head-to-head interview, man. And as a platform, man, we're going to continue to support your work, man, because obviously it's been amazing thus far, and we're looking forward to what you're going to come with next, man.
Thanks. Thank you.
So,
I appreciate it.
So on behalf of myself, Scandus, the Hip Hop Original, I want to thank you for taking time out to kick it with us. And yeah, man, let's connect again soon, somewhere down the road, my brother.
Let's do it. And I'm looking forward to that new fresher shit too, man.
Oh yeah, January, brother. January, man. Wicked, brother. Much love, man. Peace.
All right, man. Peace.